Boo! Well, everybody starts with their videos with hello or okay, and I find myself doing that, so there was something different for you. I had to follow up after 5 days. 5 days ago, sent an email to General RV's customer care asking for the contact for the supervisor of the manager, Nick, due to his unprofessionalism, and I wanted to make a complaint, and I didn't feel my concerns were being addressed. And they replied with this email. Actually, it'll probably be on the side. Saying, "Well, that's policy. What do you want? What do you want us to do?" It's kind of how it sounded to me. And I was like, that wasn't even what I said. I wanted a contact other than Nick. So she goes, okay, well, or her reply was, I will reach out to, or I'll try to contact Jason Quillen or something like that, the operations manager. So I'm thinking, okay, hey, operations manager oversees Nick, who is the sales manager. So I get a call from a guy named Ken. Like, that's nobody they said. Ken is the head of the service department. So I was able to tell Ken, yeah, hey, there were a few issues with the inspection before it went out. But that's not really what I'm pissed about. And yeah, I could have taken that opportunity to talk with Ken because it's, his guys that do the celebration before it goes out, all the stuff they missed, and that the cleaning wasn't done right. But, my thing right now is that I feel like I didn't get the money or the value's worth of the prep fee. That's $2,200. And I told him that. I'm like, look, there are some things with the service from the celebration, but that's not what I'm, frustrated about. And that's not what I'm trying to track down at the moment. So I was told there's some guy, Jason, that they were going to reach out to. And he goes, well, they said you needed the sales or the service manager. And I was like, that her email didn't even have your name on it. He goes, okay, well, let me take care of this for you. I'm going to walk over there, go find him. This number you called from, verified my phone number. He's like, is this the best number for him to reach out to you? I said, yeah, that'd be great. So he walks over to the sales side, and about 10 minutes later, I get a call from Jason. He's like, well, what can I help you with? I'm like, hey, so before I start, are you Nick's supervisor? Do you manage him in any way? No. We kind of work side by side. I'm like, okay, why am I being told you're his supervisor? As the operations manager. He's like, well, no, we work together. I don't supervise him, but I'm happy to take your complaint. I'm like, well, I don't want to complain to somebody who can't do anything about him or do anything. However, the short version is a lot of what we talked about. Jason was actually friendly, was professional. He was like, look, I understand your concern. This is how it is, though. This is what we can do at our level. He's like, you've done jobs before. You understand policies. You can't supersede it. And I'm like, well, yeah, I get that. But it's not the fact that there's a policy. I'm like, you explained to me, you've been there for 20 years. That's always been the policy. And said, you have never seen in 20 years a prep fee refunded. It doesn't happen. But, we have these other avenues to address your concerns. I can try to talk with Ken and see if we can help expedite if you don't feel like your prep was done appropriately. And some of the things you're telling me sounds like it got missed. So he's like, I get that. And some of the things you're saying is like, that's not something we check for. He's like, that's not within our control. So, but the things you're talking about, he's like, I can go to Ken and see if we can, expedite it, get you moved up or whatever we can do to get you back on the road. He's like, that is something that we can do. And I was like, dude, that's all I was looking for when I called Nick last time. First off, when he, called me a liar in the office, I didn't appreciate that. And then when I'm talking to him on the phone and I'm obviously frustrated, which is part of a manager's job in customer service to deal with frustrated people, he didn't explain things like you did. He didn't offer alternatives. He didn't say, hey, like I said, when I asked Jason, I'm like, hey, if I asked you, okay, well, you can't provide this. It's a policy from corporate. Who do I talk with at corporate? Who can I talk to? And he said, well, we really don't even have anybody. He goes, it's the customer care email that you said you've been dealing with, that keep sending you back to us. And that's how it works. Somebody goes to customer care, they funnel down to the store. Unless it's something that they feel is at a corporate level that they need to deal with. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, yeah, we are such a large company at this point that he goes, I don't deal with anything at corporate. I don't know who does what up there. That's what customer care is for. He's like, he goes, I believe the guy who oversees the customer care team is also named Nick. And he was like, look, I get it, but I don't have a contact for you. I would say, you need to contact customer care. And I would give you their email address if you needed it. I'm like, okay, well that sounds fine to me. I would be frustrated that you can't give me a number. I would think that that's pretty shitty that you don't have a supervisor's number to give me. And I told him, I was like, look, I used to be a cop. And when somebody wanted to make a complaint, I was more than happy if I had my supervisor's business card just to give it to them or to write down their number and say, okay, here he is, this Lieutenant so-and-so, go ahead and give him a call. This is his number, this is his extension, because I didn't have anything to hide. And he's like, yeah, I get that. But, we're such a large company at this point that, customer care handles all that stuff. We don't get any of that information. We don't. So I'm still wondering who these guys report to, or are they just, he said, Nick is as high up in sales as you can go. Okay, well, after that, where do you go up to? So therefore, there's got to be somebody above him, some other, upwards mobility. So, or do they just promote these guys from within and expect them to, manage themselves? And so long as their numbers look good, he explained a little bit more to me. He helped me understand a little bit better. Knowledge is power. He explained a little bit more what my value should have been and said, I understand like you feel like you didn't get that value and that we fell short. He's like, or that we failed in this prep. And he goes, and I hate to say it, we didn't fail, but we did fall short. It sounds like there were some things that were missed. I'm like, okay, had Nick done that from the beginning and tried to address it that way, I can be pretty blunt. But, it's his job to then say, okay, I get you're frustrated. Hold on, let me explain something to you. Let me help you understand, which is what I asked him to do in person when I was upset about the initial prep fee when I was sitting there. I said, hey, I need to understand my value here. And instead of just being honest and explaining what it was and what they're doing and what they actually check for, what they don't, or whatever it is, he came up with, half truths, was deceptive in how he explained it, and then, backpedaled later. So I don't know. I am thinking I'm going to reach out to some of the local news companies, let them know that I feel their practices are deceptive, they're unprofessional, that it's not a good place to do business with. And I mean, even Jason, when I was saying, hey, I don't like telling people or I don't mind telling people that some place is a bad business, that they're unprofessional or whatever. And he's like, look, I don't think we're a bad business. I don't know why you feel that way, but again, I'm going to try to do X, Y, and Z to help you out. So at least he was doing the right thing. And again, I'll give credit where credit's due. I tried to point out some of the positive things on the trailer when I went through it. So there are still good people there. My service rep, she's helping me out, within the confines of what she's allowed to do. I joked with her when she said, like, is there anything else I can do to help you out? I'm like, yeah, get Jayco to buy this piece of shit trailer back. The service manager, not even his responsibility, called me because they sent me to the wrong person. He said, okay, well, hey, I get your frustration. Let me go walk over, not even call the guy. Let me go walk over to the other side and go find Jason and have him call you, and verified my number that it was a good number to call. And then Jason actually followed through and he called, and, was a little bit more professional, still feel like I should get, at least part of my money back. And he's like, nope, we can't do any of that. And that's the policy. Been here for 20 years. But he was professional about how he explained it. He didn't do what Nick did and go, absolutely not going to happen. Nope, not happening. And not explain why. apart from its policy, and then refused to give me any contact information. So, all right, I'm starting to go in circles again. My dog is getting rowdy. She wants to go out. Yeah, you. We're talking about you. They said they're going to try to expedite things. If they can fix it, great. I'll be a little bit satisfied. I still feel like I paid way too much for a prep fee that wasn't done correctly. That's unnecessarily that high. And at least it's usable, or more usable at that point. I can't even close the door. That screw fell out again, and the door doesn't close. Had to use the handlebar against the door to keep it closed going down the freeway. So, but that was an issue that was there at the beginning, and I was told it'll work itself out, as I explained in previous videos. So I think what I'm going to do at this point, reach out, like I said, to the local news. I already filed an state attorney general complaint, but haven't heard back from that. It's probably just, I don't think they respond to onesies here and there. They've got to wait till they get a whole bunch of complaints. So it's at the dealership now. We'll see what expediting they can get done. At that point, I'm probably going to sell this thing. I don't trust it. I don't feel comfortable with it. I bought a brand new unit because I wanted something that was new, hadn't been used by anybody else, didn't have problems. The toilet seat wasn't warm from everybody else's ass hours heating it up. But the value of buying something used is, as long as you get a decently honest private seller, they can, one, tell you all the problems that they have with it or have had, and two, the problems that were there, they probably fixed it. So you don't have to worry about it, or at least don't have to worry about it right away. And three, on a used unit, when something breaks, if it's been there for 5-6 years and eventually things go bad, I get it. I'm not going to be upset have to spend $30-$40 on the thermostat to get it to shut off when it hits a certain temperature, whereas the one I got didn't shut off, and my poor dog, I was scared to death she was overheating and going to die. So I added extra stress on what should have been a nice relaxing weekend, and something I would have hoped would have been tested, because I was told they run the thermostat for about an hour, and Jason informed me, no, I don't know why they told you that, because they turn it on, they test it, make sure that it's heating to the proper level, or that the proper heat temperature is coming out of the furnace, and that's about it. They don't run it and make sure that it shuts off. He's like, so that's something they want to test for, but he's like, yeah, something that should be working right. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I feel a little better after dealing with Jason. He was probably like, this dick just keeps on going. He's just pissed at something we can't do anything about. I don't get it. But he grit his teeth. He bore with me. Somebody comment which one's right, if I get more than 2 viewers on this one. And informed me and did what he could to, help satisfy me a bit. So, yep, we'll see what happens. How long can I sit here and stare? Yeah, I'm just kidding. All right. I will update more, again, whether anyone's watching this or not. For me mentally, it's helping with my anxiety to just get it out. Helping me focus and just vent, and helping prevent me from making more calls or just storming down there and confronting this guy and calling him out. So I'm going to continue. If it helps somebody, great. If not, it's helping me. Hopefully it's entertaining somebody. So